All right, so in this episode, I'm going to discuss why the only life coaches you should listen to are ones with skills. So there's a lot of people who say you like life coaching, right? Like they tell you, oh, I'm a life coach. I teach you how to, I don't know, I could teach you motivation. I could teach you how to be motivated and get up in the morning and whatever. Now, some of that stuff is good, but from my experience, most of it is bullshit. Like, the only people, to me, the best life coaches are people who have the skill that you're trying to learn, right? Because more than likely, if you're listening to a life coach, like the person, you might as well listen to the person that you're trying to become of the skill that you have. So like take me for instance, like my skill is selling on Shopify. But I can be a life coach too because I've been through more than most life coaches. Like my life background is harder than 90% of the world. But you don't know my background. And even if I told you, you probably wouldn't even believe me. So, like, I've been military. I've been all around the world. I've been in war. I've been in prisons, not in prison, in prisons, helping prisoners, around prisoners. I'm actually from the struggle, and I learned things from the struggle. I didn't learn something from someone who had $1 million. My parents didn't have $1 million, so I couldn't afford to make mistakes. I couldn't afford to make big money mistakes. I had to pinch every little penny to be successful. So, yeah, a life coach could tell you that story, but what are they selling you? That's the thing. Like, if you're going to look at somebody who's a web developer that's a life coach, yeah, he's going to mention the life coaches. So he's giving you the advice, but he's like, okay, this is what he said. Yeah, I learned that too. But let's get back to what's going to work. You see what I'm saying? Like, I could tell you 50 Cent quotes or Tony Robbins quotes or Tupac quotes or Lance Brown or whatever motivational speaker, anybody you can name. I could quote them for days. But at the end of the day, it's going to go down to, okay, you just paid me $25,000. What am I going to get from this? You see what I'm saying? It's like, oh, I'm going to make you 30% of what you put in. You're going to make 100% of what you put in, or 500% of what you put in. Okay, right? Now you're going to listen to me. I'm not a life coach. I'm going to change your bank account. You see what I'm saying? Like, a life coach is just, anybody can do that. Anybody, a life coach is like a comedian or like somebody, just a random YouTuber. He's just talking, who's just throwing somebody's picture on a YouTube screen. Like, oh, I'm going to talk bad about him just to get clout. Oh, he's coming up now. I'm going to talk bad about him. I'm going to talk. But with that, you're attracting negative people. Like, because that's the only people that's attracted by that. They don't have no skill, right? There's no skill in that. They haven't learned anything. They just screenshotted a picture of somebody. They're playing their videos and they're laughing and everybody else is laughing. Like, what do you learn from that? You just got to laugh. Yay. So they're not attracted to something like this because this takes skill. You have to actually learn. You have to become what you want to be. You see what I'm saying? Like, you have to become what you want, the result that you want. So you can't be like, I want to sell on Shopify, but you're not a Shopify owner or you're not a Shopify seller. Right? Because you haven't became that. You just say, oh, I want to make some money. No, you have to become what you want to be. You can't be like, oh, I want to be I want to score a touchdown, but you're not a football player. Right? You can't be like, I want to score 30 points in a basketball game, but you're not a basketball player. You see what I'm saying? That's my problem with life coaches. they don't have a skill. Like take somebody like Dan Loke, right? Dan Loke is a copywriter. So the fact that he's a copywriter, he's a better life coach than a regular life coach because he worked as that. So he's teaching you that, and you're studying from him on what not to do. So he's the real life coach. He's a life coach with skill. You see what I'm saying? Or you just take a life coach. Oh, I'm just a life coach. I just put life coach on my Instagram, and I'm just posting quotes all day. What are you going to sell me? Oh, I'm selling you motivation and this and this. And it's like, come on, man. Like, anybody can say, if you need to buy motivation, like, you don't need motivation. You need discipline. Like, if you need to buy motivation, you need discipline. And you need connections fast. Like, that's the beauty. Like, people think that selling high is bad. No, it's good because I'm not even saying selling and buying. If you're buying a course that works, that comes with a mentorship and a team, that makes you move forward way faster. You're going to move forward faster. So you don't need motivation. You just need the discipline to get it done. You see what I'm saying? That's why motivation and all that life coaching, like, it'll make you stupid. It'll make you stupid. You'll be a motivated idiot. Right? You're going to be a motivated idiot, pretty much. You don't know, like, you don't have a reasoning for what you're doing. You're just doing it. Like, I could do 50 push-ups right now. Yeah, I'm going to be strong. But I say, oh, I work my back and I work my arms, I work my chest, and I did a little cardio. Like, everything that you do has a reason behind it. But if you just listen to a life coach, you just like, it's like a drug. You're just taking a drug, and then you look at the end of the day, you're like, oh, I'm high, I didn't accomplish nothing, I'm tired, and that's all. Right? But if you look at somebody who has a skill, but they're a life coach, now you're thinking, oh, I have to learn now. Oh, I got to actually register a domain. I got to learn Facebook ads. I got to learn Google ads. I got to learn what's a CPA. I have to learn what's a CPA or AOV. I have to learn these terms, a CPC, the CTR. I have to learn all this. But you have motivation behind it because that's what they teach. But if it's just motivational teachers, like, yay, like, who cares? You know? That's like I said, a life coach should have a skill. Like, I'll see if your life coach is a fitness trainer, yeah. Because he's training people. He's used to getting you up off your butts. He knows why you're doing things because he knows the body, right? That's a skill. But a life coach that's just, what motivates you could destroy you. Like, they could make up anything. You know, I woke up this morning in bed, so I got out of bed. And then they put their name in quotes. Like, I did that too. You know what I'm saying? Like, they can say something like, oh, what kills you could be what you need to go through. Like, anybody can do that. You know? Like, they're selling you wordplay. That's the beauty of numbers. Like, you can't fake numbers. That's what I love about Shopify and, like, Facebook and even just the whole process of Shopify. Is like, you can fake it, but not to people who do it. Like, you can only fake that shit to people who they have the hope and they're like, oh, I'm hoping that I can sell. I'm hoping that I can sell. When you could just team up with people who know how to sell and just sell. You don't have to be like, oh, I wish I could sell. It's like, no. You team up with people who know why you're not selling. They're going to be like, oh, this is why. Boom, 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 boom. They fix it and now you're selling. You're like, oh. You're like, that was easy. But it's because you are listening to people who's telling you, oh, I spent $20 million. It was like a dopamine. Your dopamine is fucked up. Like, your dopamine is fucked up. That's what it is. That's my issue with YouTube. Like, YouTube fucks people's dopamine up. Like, it's like, oh, I just watched this video. Now I need this video. Now I need this video. Now I need it. And it's like, no. You need to start a fucking store, and you need to have something actionable behind what you're watching. And that's what's, like, that is what's going to mess up, like, the new generation. Because it's like the new generation, they're not used to taking action behind something that they learn. They're just used to consuming some shit on the screen all day. They don't know how to take action behind some shit. Like, I could be like, oh, go run a Facebook advertisement. They'll be like, I don't know. Like, but you just watch 20 fucking videos on how to do it, but you don't know how to do it. You see what I mean? Like, that's what's fucked up about this generation. Like, they're like, I'll be like, go fix the domain. Go fix the domain. Go connect the domain with the hosting. And they be like, I don't know how to do that. But they just watch 20 fucking videos on that shit. And then they switch to fucking, they go from domain name hosting to watching a rap video. And it's like, okay, that's why you're fucked up. You see? Like, it's like people, they're messed up. And I think, like, reading cures that shit. Like, reading cures it because you know why you're doing it. You know, you don't have a perception behind what you're looking at. You're just watching it all day. You're like, oh, let me watch TV. I'm just going to... It's like, you don't even understand why the TV is there. You see what I'm saying? When you know that, then you're able to have a mentality of selling, right? Because you know what they're selling. Like, you can look at a commercial and be like, oh, I see why that is that, and I see why they use that pink, I see why they use that orange, I see why they did that, and I see why it's brighter. I see why they would use 4K now, because the person who's watching it is like, oh, now I'm in a deeper state of fucking just, right? Like, it's the same thing they do with the Facebook and the Googles and shit. That's why I think, like, you should listen to guys who are, like, really professional at what they're doing. Like, not the guys who just put on a Lamborghini and a new gold watch and think, oh, I'm on Shopify. It's like, you think they really know that shit? They don't know that shit. They just selling you an affiliate program. They don't know what the fuck they don't know data. They don't know. They're not schooled. They don't know that shit. You should listen to people who know what they're talking about. And if you don't understand it, then you should either hire them or you should hire someone who knows what they're talking about. That way you're learning while they're working for you. You see what I'm saying? It's a difference. And most of these channels, they don't have as many views. Like, most of the channels with low views are the channels you need to be watching, because they are the ones who really know what they're talking about. Because most of the time they're up to date. Like, I feel like date is more important than views, because if it's up to date, like, let's say you got a channel that's up to date, but they're dropping, like, it's like this video is like, they don't even know what they're talking about. They're just showing their lifestyle, and it's like, you're not going to learn from that. You're just learning how they're living. Who the fuck cares how they're living? What is going? How did they? You know what I'm saying? You just gave them a view. Like, you should be figuring out how can people help you, who can help you, and move around on YouTube on how can they help me? How is this going to help me? Save this guy. Okay, he's good. When you move like that, then you'll figure out who's good at what they do, because you'll be like, oh, he said this. Oh yeah, he said that too. So okay. That's probably mutual because they're in the same business. Okay, boom, this guy's good. Now you're on his list. Now you're on his email list. Now you're on his YouTube. Now you're scrolling through like, oh, that guy's... Now you can see, oh, this guy's just